I want to bring on my guest, Mr. Jordan Westerkamp. How you doing, my friend?
Adam, I'm doing awesome, man. Appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you taking the time. Question. I just got done talking about the transfer portal, some of the Huskers who've entered the transfer portal. Now, this is obviously post my playing days, post your playing days. Your playing days were a little bit more recent. But had this been a thing, and you can be honest, I know you will be, because there was a particular game where I wasn't thrilled after the game. And for about 48 hours, I've never shared this before, I thought about entering what did not exist. What was the transfer portal? Did not exist back then, but 48 hours, I cooled off, chilled out, and I never thought about leaving again because Nebraska's freaking awesome. But was there ever a point during your time at Nebraska where the thought even entered your mind for 1/10 of a millisecond, hey, what else is out there?
Yeah, like you said, time was different when we were both playing, and it's amazing how this transfer portal's blown up and the amount of guys now can go anywhere and they don't have to sit out anymore. They can go and they can play right away. It's crazy. So it's tough to answer that because I'm not in that scenario. And it's tough for me to think back on that. I don't remember any particular time where it entered my mind. Now, my parents, maybe a little different. Maybe there were some games where they were mad. They go, he didn't play enough or whatever. He should have played more, and maybe it entered their mind. But never my mind in particular where I was like, hey, maybe this isn't the place for me. I had right before I came to Nebraska, I had a little change up, a little curveball thrown at me where Notre Dame came out of the blue and offered me, and I'd already been committed to Nebraska, but even through that, I held my commitment and didn't waver, and I was true to Nebraska. And even with my time at Nebraska, it was true to my time there and true to my commitment. Never crossed my mind. Now I understand how crazy the transfer portal is now, so it's tough for me to say because I wasn't in that environment. It could have been different.
Parents that are upset with the kids' playtime. I don't think that's ever happened in history. That's the first time I'm ever hearing of this. I didn't know parents ever did that. Dude, I live in a world of youth sports. Oh my gosh, that is a whole thing unto its own. But here's what I want to do. I do want to go back in time just a smidge. All right. And I know you've been asked about this before, but I've never had you on this show, on this radio station. So I want to ask you about it right here, right now. August 30th, you guys are beating 2014. You guys are beating Florida Atlantic 31-7. Tommy Armstrong drops back to pass, throws a pass, and this little-known guy, a youngster named Jordan Westerkamp, makes a behind-the-back catch. What was going through your mind while that ball was in the air and you were doing what I can only describe as a basketball drill that I used to do when I was a kid, putting the ball around my waist and behind my back? When that catch was going on, what was going through your mind?
Right. It happened so fast in our offense at the time with Coach Tim back kind of at the helm, running the offense, and Coach Pelini was the head coach. We were so fast-paced. So I made the play. I had a split second of like, oh, man, what the hell just happened? But in my head, it was, let's get lined up. It's ready to go. Next play, next play, next play, next play. So we fired to get lined up, and they blew the whistle dead and whatnot. And in my head, like I knew I caught it. I knew I was inbounds because when I caught the ball, I was looking down at my feet. And I think I got two. I may have pitter-pattered it and gotten 3 feet inbounds there, but it happened so fast, and it was just a reaction. It was just a natural reaction for me because, wide receiver throughout all of youth football and high school football. And I'm very lucky that my father was my receiver coach for so long. We would always do like crazy catch drill before practice, at the end of practice, just he'd put it wherever, just make the catch however you can. And I'm sure there was times where it happened like that, or maybe I caught it by my back, but so it wasn't like a foreign position for me to be in. It was just catch the ball any means necessary.
So it's kind of like you had repped similar situations. If Odell Beckham, okay, is known for the one-hand catch all those years ago on Sunday or Monday Night Football, whatever it was, and I know he's done it a time or two since, but if you ever watch that guy in pregame warmups, I don't think he catches a single ball with two hands. All he does is one-hand catch like every freaking pass that is thrown to him. Now, I want to go to another point in time. All right. 0.04 seconds left, fourth quarter versus Northwestern. Ron Kellogg, the quarterback, throws the ball from around our 40-yard line, give or take, nearly 60 yards in the air into a crowd of Northwestern players with a couple of Huskers there. All right, the ball bounces in the air, and you catch it for the game-winning touchdown. What was that feeling like?
Oh, that was unbelievable. And it was my first college touchdown. So to start off that way, set the bar pretty high. I was able to come back the following year and have that other pretty cool play with behind the back. But it was awesome, and it was cool that it happened against a team I'm super familiar with. I had teammates that I went to high school with that were on the team. I was very close with Coach Fitzgerald as he recruited me so hard. With me being from Illinois, those guys, they don't want to lose their in-state guys. So it was pretty cool, unique moment. Unforgettable. I'll never that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And very fortunate to be on the receiving side of that, and I'm very thankful for that. Everybody in that position there kind of moved up in front of the goal line and just left me by myself in the back. So it just worked out, perfect. And again, just very fortunate situation. And I'm glad I was able to make the play.
Now, out of curiosity, obviously Nebraska was number one for you, but you and Northwestern, you had some ties there. You just talked about all that, being from Illinois and all that good stuff. And Notre Dame came in and made a late push. All right, Nebraska was number one. Just out of curiosity, who was your number two school on the list?
Yeah, so I committed to Nebraska pretty darn early. I committed as a junior in high school, and it was right after I went to a spring game, the spring game, and it blew me off my feet. It was the coolest thing in the world. 60,000 plus fans back in 2011. I know they just had the 66 or something for this past scrimmage here a couple weeks ago. It's truly unbelievable how awesome Husker Nation is and the fans are. But my number two was probably, and I'm trying to think back now because again I committed darn early, but probably Michigan State or Minnesota. Northwestern was up there. Notre Dame, obviously they came late, and that became my number two because I growing up, went to a Catholic high school, and from the Midwest, like Notre Dame is the school. So had a lot of connections there, a lot of family members that big fans of Notre Dame, and so that was pretty cool. But at the end of the day, like I said, this transfer portal is crazy now. I stayed true to Nebraska and my commitment. I just love Nebraska. I love the coaching staff. I loved everything about it, and it blew me off my feet. And I knew Nebraska was the place for me.
All right, last thing about things that are behind us, and I want to talk about things that are present and even ahead of us. Last question about the catch or the catches. Which catch is more impressive to you, and which catch are you asked about more often to this day?
Ooh, that's a tough question. More impressive, I think, about just the behind the back catch because I don't know if it's ever happened before in college football, and I might be wrong. I'm not sure, but the fact that I was able to catch it behind the back and keep my feet in, and getting 2 feet in, which makes it good at the NFL level. That probably to me was more skillful. The Hail Mary, you see that a little bit more often, but again, it's still pretty rare. So both pretty cool catches. Very lucky to have both those on my resume. But at the end of the day, probably the more skillful one was behind the back because I had to get my feet in bounds as well.
Now, Billy Kemp has really stood out this spring. Current Husker wide receiver, looked good in the spring game.
Yep.
So far, it looks like the best receiver we have at this moment in time. Now, your games aren't exactly the same, but I see some similarities. He's 5'9", listed as 180, 185. You were 6 foot, listed around 195, give or take. All right. What has helped him so far to stand out as a wide receiver for the Big Reds so far this spring and this offseason? What's he do well?
Yeah, so he's another guy who I believe he was a transfer, right? Right? He was a transfer?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think he's just staying true to himself, and it's tough now for me because as I get older, I'm officially old now. But as I get older, the guys that I were familiar with when I was with my time in Nebraska, they're starting to, like that last freshman class when I was a senior, and there were some extra years added because of COVID. I'm starting to become unfamiliar with some of these names. Then you add in the transfer portal. It's pretty tough to keep up with it. I'm pretty sure I just saw the other day that Casey Thompson's name was thrown into that as well. It's just It's crazy. But for Billy, yeah, he looked good in the spring game, and I know they keep the spring game super bland. They don't want to show too much. And the run game to me stood out. But yeah, he made some plays, and it'll just be interesting to see how these guys, these young guys, and Nebraska, what their identity is going to look like. Come September and game 1, and we actually get to see it live in action against a different team in true competition.
All right, man. Let's have some fun. Give me a way. We don't even know who's going to be all in the quarterback room. We don't even know who all's going to be because guys are going to transfer in, transfer out. So we're just going to have some fun. And then I'm going to hold you to this until the end of time. Way too early record prediction for Nebraska this fall. What you got, Jordan?
All right. Well, they open up Minnesota. That's a tough one.
Yep. Colorado. Hold on. Who's going to win the Nebraska-Colorado game? Let's start with that. Who's going to win that game?
Northern Illinois recently in the past too. So none of those games are cupcake games. That's tough. Louisiana Tech, we should pull that one out. Michigan, that's going to be tough. Illinois is not easy. Northwestern, rough season last year. Expect them to be a little bit better. Purdue's not terrible. Michigan State's rough season last year, but again, it's Big Ten football. They're not bad. Maryland, we should be okay with Maryland. Wisconsin's going to be tough. We beat Iowa last year, but that'll be another tough game. Man, that's not an easy schedule. If we add in transfer portal, losing some key guys, new head coach, new staff. I want to be optimistic, but I'm also realistic. It's tough. It's going to be. I don't know. Maybe people might not like this, but I mean, man, I would. If we get 4, 5, 6 wins, I'm happy with that. The bowl game, right? You need six
Yep.
wins. It's going to be a tough schedule, and you adding all those ingredients into the pot. It's going to be real tough. Normally, you get that. And Adam, you understand this. With the new head coach, there's usually a transition year. The next season generally doesn't go very, very, very well, but we'll see. Prove me wrong. I'm hoping for the best, but you don't know. And right now, looking at the schedule, transfer portal, losing key guys, new staff, I'm saying 6 wins would be a great season for them.
I think most people would be happy with that. Just get back to a bowl game, something we took for granted for 40 plus years. Let's just get back to that bowl game. Hopefully 85 players don't opt out of that game. Bad joke alert, I know, but let's just get to the point where they got to make that bowl game decision. All right. I think you missed me earlier, so help me out with this game specifically. Colorado, Nebraska. Who wins that specific game?
Yeah, I can't wait for that game because that's there's a lot of history with that. But Deion Sanders over there, the head coach, and he's he's been a little bit of a tornado. I know that
a little bit.
There's been 50 plus guys in the transfer portal or something. Or
they're going to set a record that may never be broken. But go ahead.
Right, exactly. So I don't know what's going on over there. He might be doing a little bit too much, but I don't know. That to me is like that to me is the biggest question mark game of the year because new staffs, both schools. Deion's causing a like I said, a little tornado hurricane over there, and guys are heading out. I'm sure they'll get more guys transferred in. The Nebraska new coaching staff. I think it's going to be kind of an even playing field going into that game. That's at Colorado, correct?
Yep. And I'm gonna make you pick a team, man. I don't even care who you pick. Just pick one, my man. Who you got?
I'm taking Nebraska all day. I'll always pick Nebraska, no matter what. Even if I don't think they're going to. At the end of the day, I'm always taking Nebraska. But,
I like when you were.
That'll be a fun game. That'll be fun. Like I said, there's a lot of history between the two programs. That'll be an awesome game to tune into and to watch.
Dude, that's going to be entertaining. And I liked when you were kind of going through the schedule instead of saying, I think we're going to lose. Like you'd be like, oh, that's a tough game. Like Wisconsin or Michigan, that's a tough game. But you wouldn't say, I think we're going to lose. I love that about you. Last question I got for you. What are you doing now? I know you've started a new business. Let the folks know, find folks at home, know what you're doing now and where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So out of football, I've kind of gotten into the sports performance aspect of things. So I opened up my own sports performance facility in Wheaton, Illinois. We take all athletes looking to get faster, jump higher, quicker, more athletic, increase their speed, agility, all that good stuff. We've got great programs. Our grand opening was about a month and a half ago, so we're brand new. We're doing real well, and we love what we do, and I love what I do, and I had my certain paths that took me to where I am now, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I have now and to be able to give back and help athletes. So if you're looking to get in and do some training, work on speed, agility, strength, power, and you're in the Chicago-ish area of western suburbs, please reach out, and we look forward to seeing you.